What's up, guys and gals? I know there's a lot of conflict out there on social media and everywhere else with the whole coronavirus thing and all that, but this video has absolutely nothing to do with that. Just going to acquiesce to some requests I've gotten from some of our students, some of my friends, people that have wanted to get a little bit more application from trapping flow drills and get some outward wrist locks in there, okay? So those of you who know your jiu-jitsu, the Kote Gaeshi lock, the outward wrist lock, just a few simple ways to get into it from simple trapping flow drills, okay? The first one, we're gonna go from the Pak Sao trap flow drill, okay? So, we're flowing in the drill, all right? Remember that the pace can always be dramatically increased, and that's fine, but we're just gonna demonstrate with a slow pace to keep it very simple and easy to see and understand, all right? So it's a perpetual alternating Pak Sao, you and your partner, along with the striking arm. In this case, both of us, it's our right arm, and you want to interchange that strike. The back fist works well, the neck strike works well, okay? The finger jab works well, and a straight punch works well. All four of those work well in this drill without screwing it up. Sorry, I didn't know if you were trying to hit me or not. Okay, so look, in that flow, what I'm gonna do to get my outward wrist lock, a quick little connection application to it, I'm gonna take a little bit more deliberate Pak Sao in and a little to the side to turn it into a grab that will then enable me to get to that wrist lock, okay? So, here I am, look at the left hand Pak Sao. I'm gonna go Pak Sao, down and in, and now I'm actually turning it into a grab, okay? Here, so that the other hand can get over and reinforce for outward wrist, okay? So, in the drill, flowing, right, here, and then here. Outward wrist. Switch sides. Now, please understand, because I have a much smaller framed partner with delicate wrists and some wrist injuries, right? That I'm being gentle with my grip on the wrist, but you don't want to do that. If you've got a partner that can, that you're not going to hurt with it, as long as you're ready to use a quick tap, a verbal or physical tap on the body, that's always helpful as a nice little safety tactic, okay? So, I'm going to drill again. Pak Sao, heavier into the grab, and I'm going to turn that to outward wrist lock, okay? Yeah, let's move a little closer. So outward wrist lock, right? Turning, twisting the hand, but also a slight element of pushing the palm to the forearm where it does not belong, along with that twisting. Ultimately, this usually ends in a slam takedown to the ground, okay? Of course, there are all kinds of variables. Sometimes it doesn't, but that is the most common thing that will occur. In this drill, though, it's really just about getting to it, right? From the trapping into the lock, okay? Back up a little bit. Okay. So, again, in the flow, I'm just going to be very, very concise about it, right? I'm not just going to be ambiguous about my motion. It's either a Pak Sao by itself, and then striking moves on, right? Okay? Or it's coming in for that wrist lock. You really want to work on that precision, that smothering connectivity with your trapping. It's like when I grab the person, I decide when I let go of them. They don't decide when they get out of my grip, okay? And that's got to be the thought, okay? So, into it, right to outward wrist lock. Be sure that the first hand that's contacting your partners does not release any grip at all until the other one comes over to reinforce the lock, okay? And then once you have the lock with both hands, let's rep through that again, right? Once I have it with both, you can change it up. Sometimes you can take off what is now the reinforcing hand, the other hand, the non-thumb side hand, okay? That can come off to deal with punches, right? Coming at me, I don't know. To hit, to clinch, whatever. To help the head move when you go for the takedown. Or it can stay on for extra strength on the lock when you go to your ultimately to your takedown. Okay? So, next one, we're gonna go from the Wampak drill. Okay? So, different flow drill, different trapping flow drill, but still getting into the same joint lock. Alright? So, Wampak flow. Basic Wampak flow drill, you can be incorporating that Jut Sao, or just the parry, right? Switching on your partner, all that stuff. If either this Wonpok flow drill or the Pak Sao flow drill earlier, if either of those are unfamiliar to you, hit me up and I'm happy to guide you along with those drills because this video is already going based on the assumption that those are familiar drills to you, okay? So, from Wonpok, when we take the Jut Sao, okay, do a couple Jut Saos on your turns, right? It's Jut Sao, punch, parry, punch, right? Do it again. Jut Sao, punch, parry, punch. Jut Sao, punch, parry, punch. You're just going to randomly turn a Jut Sao into a wrist lock application. Okay, so similar to the last drill, it's just a different tool getting me there initially. The last drill started with Pak Sao contact and then wrist lock. This starts with Jut Sao and then wrist lock. Okay. Also, just to make sure you don't take as much of a toll on your joints, if you are the partner taking the lock on your body, I suggest relaxing your fist so that the lock can be put on you. Otherwise, it's going to be forced on you and it's going to take more of a toll on your joints. Okay? Keep in mind for practical application, we don't ever do this. We don't trap a limb and then just go to a joint lock without punching the person in the face first. Okay? So ultimately, in direct application, this would have been Jut Sao and strike, and then to my lock, if the lock was the right thing to do at all, okay? And that tends to, when people get hit in the face, or have their eye gouged, or get hit in the trachea, or whatever else, tends to loosen up their fists and their grip, all right? But I just care about people not doing unnecessary damage to the joints. So when I get that Jut Sao on Patricia, here, and I go to my lock, it would behoove her and her wrist to relax her wrist. And that way I can ease my motions in and not put unnecessary force that I would use ultimately in a real application, of course, but don't need it now when it's just about the coordination and the accuracy and the smothering and the precision, all right? So, again, flowing. Intermittently, sometimes you're using your Jut Sao with your flow drill, okay? You're switching on each other, good, all that stuff. And then Jut Sao immediately to that outward wrist. Lock, okay? Yeah, we got enough room here. Okay, here. So flowing, Jut Sao, and immediately in there for that outward wrist. Be concise and direct and efficient with your other hand, right? After every motion, whether I just parry and punch, right? Or I Jut Sao, punch, parry punch, or I Jut Sao and go right to wrist lock, this other hand was always here. It didn't get lazy, didn't stay down by my rib cage, my chest, my shoulder, none of that stuff, okay? Gotta think real life. Any hand not doing a task has to be ready to protect and ready to hit again, our favorite thing to do. So look, it always comes back home, here. So that when it has to go to wrist lock, look, it's just sitting right there for reinforcing. As opposed to, back a little bit, right? It being hanging out down here and having to cover more space to get there. If the hand was there, could we still use it? Of course. It just doesn't make sense to do something that's less direct, right? So, let's just do a quick review of the two different things we did. So, from the Pak Sao flow drill, okay? Finding a way to get that quick outward wrist lock application. You take your Pak Sao and you turn it into outward wrist lock. Again, here, here, and here, okay? The next one, the Wonpok flow drill, right? We're going to take a Jut Sao that we normally use in the basic format of the drill anyway, right? And we're going to turn that Jut Sao into outward wrist lock. All right, is that a pop in there? No. All right. Okay, so two simple trapping flow drills where you can throw in that outward wrist lock. If you have any questions, hit me up, text, email, call, or any of the social media platforms. Love y'all and have a great evening.